Hi, and welcome to the Momversation Club, the podcast born out of the idea that every mom needs a tribe. I'm Christina Struckmeyer.
And I'm Claire Strong. We're two mums just like you navigating the chaotic, challenging, and often isolating world of motherhood.
It's said that it takes a village to raise a child, but in today's crazy world, we want to know where the F is the village?
Yep, it's a question that resonates with many of us who find ourselves raising children, managing careers, and trying to maintain our identities, often with a sense of isolation.
But we're here to remind you that you're not alone. The Momversation Club is your village, a place where you feel valued, appreciated, and understood.
We believe that by sharing our experiences, successes, and struggles, that we can create a virtual village for all of you amazing mums out there.
Join us every week for an honest, raw, relatable discussion about all aspects of being a mom, including the stuff you just can't talk about with other people.
So if you've ever asked yourself, where the F is the village? Then you found your tribe. Let's get into it. Hi, Christina.
Hey, Claire, how's it going?
Good, thank you. By the way, I love you in black. You're wearing a black top, aren't you, or is it a dress?
Thank you. It's a top. It's like a bodysuit type top. I'm trying to get with what the young kids are wearing, and that's apparently what's going on. Although I will say, I saw this great video recently where it was talking about how, millennials don't need to pander to the next generation about how young they need to look and change their outfits, because they compared it to like the way our moms dressed when we were younger, and we weren't like, Mom, get with the Y2K style. Like, we did not do that. They wore their 90s jeans, and we just let them be.
Yes, we did. So I love it.
I'm like, you know what? You can pry the skinny jeans out of my cold dead hands. I'm not letting them go. I will maintain the center part because I do think that was a good point. But other than that, like, I'm going to stick with my style.
Yeah, well, you look great. You should.
You.
But it's funny. You're right. We didn't look at our moms and go, oh my God, you're so old fashioned.
I mean, we did, but like, we didn't embarrass them on a public platform about it. You know what I mean?
Well, but that's probably because it wasn't available to us at the time.
No, I think we might have. I mean, I'm sure we telephoned that, like, hey, Susie,
Yeah.
I don't know why Susie's always my favorite, like, fake person, but whatever.
Susie, your imaginary friend.
Yeah, you caught me. Susie, me and her go back. Anyways, what are we talking about, Claire?
Well, today we're going to talk about mummy milestones. Just milestones in this whole crazy journey that is being a mum. That's what we're going to chat about today.
I love this topic because you think about milestones, and as mothers, we think about like our child's milestones. So there's all these little markers we have to keep up with. Like, are they talking at the right time? Are they, doing their motor skills at the right time? But like, nobody really talks about the real milestones of like motherhood and like the little things that we all as moms can head nod at each other and be like, yeah, that's the moment where I felt like I was really a mom. Like, I was part of the club.
Yes.
So you and I spent some time thinking about this topic of like, what are the mommy milestones that we remember, the things that are most incremental to us? Do you want me to go first? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead. You go first. Yeah.
Okay. So the first one I thought about, because I was thinking about my friend and I, we always talk about this stuff, about when we felt like we really were a mom. Because you give birth, you bring the baby home, like kind of a zombie for a while. There's that milestone where you're like, oh yeah, this is a mom moment for now. My first mommy milestone that I felt like, yeah, this is it, was the first time I caught vomit in my hands. I remember this very vividly. We were on the couch. I was burping Stella, and I had just put her in this little boppy thing, to kind of keep her going. And she started showing the signs that she was going to spit up. And I was like, rather than having to clean this off the boppy or the couch, I'll just conveniently catch this with my hands and go rinse it off. And
my gosh.
I think as moms, we use our hands for things that are disgusting that pre-kids us would be like, what the hell? That's gross. Like the whole grabbing the nose and grabbing the snot. I've done that a bunch of times. Or using your shirt to clean something. Like, it's part of being a mom. Have you had one of those moments?
Yeah, and I was just when I was listening to you as you was talking, but I think this kind of goes back to labor because labor is so intense and so impersonal and so graphic and there's no boundaries at all when it comes to labor. You're there in a very vulnerable situation with no clothes on, with a stranger who's helping you give birth to this child. And so I think once you've been through labor, certainly this was my experience, it's like actually like anything goes. Like I don't care about
Totally.
nudity, I don't care about body parts. It's so I think it's for me it stems back from labor. But I do remember if we're talking about kind of first real, crisis management mum 101 stuff was when my eldest Sophia, I took her, we were out in the car and we pulled up at wherever we were going and she just, like pooped through a nappy and it went all over the car seat. And my pre-kid self would have been absolutely horrified at that. It would have been the most disgusting thing. I probably couldn't have dealt with it. I'd have asked like someone to help me or my own mum. And I said, "Oh my god, mum, this
Mom.
is so disgusting." But I just cleaned the thing up. And so baptism by fire is how I describe that. But yeah, I think though, but labor prepared me for those situations because,
You're
and I
so
remember when I
right.
went, yeah, and when I had my second daughter, I was like, let's just get to it. When I was in the delivery suite, there was no, oh my god, I'm gonna have to take my clothes out. I was like, just let's get this done. We're here to get this done. And so it's
Yeah.
almost like business like. You go into business like mode
A
with
hundred
things
percent,
that
Claire.
previously would have totally freaked you out.
That's so true. I never made that connection. But yeah, I remember like single me would be like, even like when I was pregnant, I would like put my jeans and like my underwear was under my jeans as I was getting my like gynecological exam, or like, oh, let me make
Yeah,
sure my little robe is sealed as much as I can in the back. And after labor, your humility is gone. Someone has seen you
yeah,
poop on a table, okay? Like somebody
yeah,
has.
yes.
You have
Ah,
been like tits out with a nursing
yeah,
person who's helping you like get the
yeah,
hold right. I mean,
yes.
it's why someone had their fist up your cervix. Like you,
I
humility
mean,
is gone.
the whole thing. Totally. But even when you come home, and for me, I breastfed my girls, and like you said, when they're, you're getting help if you decided to breastfeed, and the midwife or whoever's assisting you with that, they are just grabbing your boob, and and it's just it
Yeah.
is what it is. It's
So
like,
then
yep, throw
you get some snot, some throw up, some poop. You're like, I've been through worse. This is fine.
this is nothing. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's when so I'd say I agree with you. I think that was probably my first mum milestone. What about as particularly your eldest has grown? What other milestones have you encountered along the way?
Yeah. Well, so getting to that space of when they're grown, like they start
Mm,
talking, right? And then
yes.
the first time you hear them say something that is very much a you ism, like something that you
Ah,
only say or you do, and
yes.
you watch them
Yes.
mimic it,
Yeah.
you're like, oh shit, they're learning things from me. Oh no.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
right now, my littlest Rennie is she's doing a lot of talking to herself because I didn't realize this about myself, but I talk to myself a lot during the
Do you?
day. I
Wow.
do. I'll be like, all
I
right,
thought that
Christina,
was
like let's get this together. All I need is a cup of coffee. All right. Like I do
I
a
thought
lot
that
of like
was as an only child thing because I know my husband does that and my mum does that and they're both single children. They're both
I'm
single
oldest of
children.
four. I'm oldest of four. I
Wow.
think it's just my way of being like kind of self-soothing. I'll do a lot
Okay.
of, okay, this isn't that bad, or all right, like we got this. No problem. We can be flexible. Like just I do a lot of that. And so when Rennie does a lot of like, okay, okay, okay.
Oh my
She'll go,
God,
okay,
she's got it
babies,
coming
okay.
in. Yeah, she is rubbing off on her. Oh,
She
that's
does the
so
hands too, like we got this, like it's fine. And so that was really funny to watch her mimic me. And I've seen
yeah.
Stella do things too. Like I asked her the other day because she always says, "My daddy says this" or "My daddy says that." I'm like, "What does mommy say?" And she goes, "Don't, don't, don't." Like she just and she goes, "Play with Rennie." Like I like those are my catchphrases. Like if I were a doll and you were to pull my
Don't.
string.
You'd have
Don't
two, don't, and then
play
the
with
next one
Rennie.
would be play with Rennie. Oh my god! But not together because you do
Yeah,
want to be
don't, you
playing with
definitely want to play with Rennie. Yeah, but I have these like isms that I are unique to me, and it's funny to watch them come out of my kids' mouths. Like almost
Yeah.
like when I'm talking and I go, "Oh God, that was my mother." Like, ugh.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh God, I have that a lot. I tell you when it's worse when your kids say to you, "Oh, you just sounded like Nanny then." Oh, that's just something Nanny would say. I'm like, oh my God, I failed. What an absolute.
Or your husband, you sound
Oh,
just like your mom right now. I'm gonna kill you. Like,
oh yeah, yeah, I know. Because they never mean it in a nice way either.
no,
It's
they
not
never
that,
do.
my mum's really good, but it's never meant as a compliment. And I know, but honestly, I'm guilty of the same thing. Sometimes I'll say to my husband, like, oh God, you just sound like your dad. And I won't mean it in a nice, I don't mean it as a
Yeah,
compliment.
yeah. It's never meant as a, oh wow, you just the kindness is radiating
Yeah,
out of
it's
you.
definitely on that. It's definitely that. Yeah, I agree. I think for me, one of the milestones was just the kids becoming more self-aware of my actions. So for so long when they're younger, they just accept anything that you do. They accept that as the norm. And I think, by and large, they probably think you have all the answers to everything and you've got it all together because they're little and you're the adult. Um, but it's interesting as they grow because my eldest said to me once a few years ago, Mum, I just thought, you were right about everything, and then I realised that actually you're not always right.
Oh
And
no, when did
oh my
that
God,
happen? When
yeah,
does that
yeah.
happen for us?
Oh, I'm just like, what does she know? I'm saying maybe like 14,
Oh
13.
no, Claire.
I'm like, you're kidding. I'm like, oh my God. So it's that was quite the milestone when I realized that they didn't just accept me and my behavior as normal. They were actually standing back and maybe analyzing. And quite often they'll say to me, especially my youngest one, she'll say, Mum, you really shouldn't react like that in that situation. The better way to react is this. And it's
Hmm.
like, oh my God. So then it makes you feel like a failure. And I try and be very humble. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Yes, thank you. I'll take that on board. Thank you. It's a very good point. Thank you. It's very mature. But really I'm thinking, oh God, because all that does is make me feel like I'm just not cutting it as a mum, and I should be the one that's, modeling excellent emotional intelligence. And then my kids
Yeah.
are saying to me, Mum, you really kind of lost it there. So, yeah, so mummy
Oh
milestone
man.
for me is them becoming hyper aware of me and my behavior, which I got
Well,
away with it for like the first maybe like 8 years,
I was gonna
10
say
years.
there's that time where like you are the coolest thing that's ever happened. You are so smart, so funny, the best. Like I love mom always. And then I think there's
Yeah,
that turn where you're like, I think I'm actually smarter. Maybe I know
yeah,
more. Like
yeah.
maybe my mom's dumb. Like you know?
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
feel like
Maybe
that happened to me
maybe
where I
I
was like,
can
wait a
do.
second. Like
Yeah,
a little earlier for me because of my experiences, but like
yeah,
I thought adults were like, these superhuman things. Like that once you're a mom, you just I don't know, there's some sort of book that you read and you are equipped. And my mom didn't get that book, but that other adult did. And I realized like, oh crap, they're just like people. Like we're all just people that get handed these different like life versions and we have to just navigate it.
yeah.
It was
That was very
wild.
mature. When did you realize that? Because that's actually pretty mature too.
What? Which one?
Well, just what you just said. You just realized that your mum wasn't perfect, but you weren't necessarily bitter about that. You were just
Yeah.
okay. That's the hand she's been dealt with, and okay.
Probably college, like when you start looking at different people's experiences, and like I took some early childhood education classes because I wasn't sure what I was going to do in
Oh,
the middle. I went through a real like situation during college where I was like, you know what, maybe I'm not a journalist, maybe I'm a preschool teacher, and I like went to go be a
oh,
teacher, and then I
yeah,
got to the math section of it, and then the word problems were too hard for me, and I went, nope, this isn't for me.
yeah,
Back to the journalism.
yeah.
I
I've
can't
not
do
done
word
that.
problems, Claire. Like
Yeah, yeah.
just so you
Oh,
know,
word
like
problem. Yes. Okay.
when that
God.
happens,
Wow.
I might ring your bell and be like, "Can you help my kid?" Because I grew up in the '90s, And when you were growing up, word problems were only maybe two out of the like 30 questions on the test. And I would just
Hmm.
be like, I'm skipping these because I can take the hit. And I just
Yeah.
never did them.
Oh, that's
And so
funny.
I grew up, I know basic like kindergarten ones, but like
Yeah.
anyways, getting off topic, but like I just assumed that like adults knew all the things. And
Yeah.
when I was in college learning about child development and how, all the stuff, I went, oh, adults are just kids that grew up. And then
Yeah.
parents are just people that have kids now. Like there's
Yeah.
no magic button.
Well, I think another milestone for me was kind of in the same vein of what we've been discussing, but as the girls started getting older, obviously they start getting into activities and it becomes more complicated, and you're the one that is having to deal with it. So as in you're the one that sorts out, well, certainly in my case, I'm the one that sorts out the dancing schedule. I'm the one, so basically all the responsibilities and all the admin and practical stuff of being a parent falls to me. And so when the girls started getting a bit older, and definitely when school started, I guess when they were
Yeah.
both in full-time school, it's just, it's like, wow, all of this responsibility is on me. There's no one, they're not going to call my mum about something. They're going to call me because I'm the mum now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a more adulty adult around that
Yeah,
can
I
handle
know. It's
this?
like, yeah, hello. Like, I'm really not very well equipped. Like, there's got to be someone else here that you can talk to. It can't just be me.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. That I've done that so many times where I've called someone else and be like, surely you know the answer to this because I certainly don't. And Google is
Yeah.
very inconclusive and help.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you have to be the one to do all of the stuff that you have to do, like that, there's no other you. Like it's just you. You're the mom. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot. Um, I think I'm gonna take my next one, I'm gonna take it back quite a bit to babies again because
Mm-hmm.
I think for a lot of people, I with my first child, I didn't bond immediately with her. And maybe that's kind of weird to say and like kind of like a little but like when I first got handed to her, of course I loved her, like I wanted to take care of her, but it wasn't like this sense of like, oh, this is what this is all about. Like, oh, magic, right? It was just like, oh, this is weird. This is weird.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at someone that was just inside my body. Like this is weird. So I took her home, and the first time she laughed was the first time I felt, oh, there's this connection. There's this major bond here. There's another person looking at me and responding to me because up until that point, she was kind of this like crying, pooping potato sack that I moved around to different spots of the house. And then when she started engaging with me and looking at me and smiling and laughing, it was like, oh, there's a person here and I love you more than the world. And like, I would do literally anything for you. That
But that's
magic happened
interesting.
later.
Yeah, so I remember, so in those early days and weeks and months, it's a very, what's the word? It's, it kind of isn't very rewarding at times because
No.
you're the one, it's you're giving all the time and you're not getting anything back because they're, like you say, at first they're not responding to you, they're not, but they need everything from you, especially if you're breastfeeding.
Yes.
Especially if you're breastfeeding, it's like, my God, I can't
They
catch a
need
like.
so much from you. You're
It's
literally their life
ridiculous.
source.
Yeah, yeah, but there's no kind of reward in those initial first couple of months, really, or certainly like early weeks. And so I do get that. I do get that. And something that hit me pretty early on, actually, the milestone of um, am I going to be, I was questioning how good of a mum I was going to be, basically. I remember thinking, and this was actually very early on. So when my eldest was literally about, 3, 4, 5 days old, which I think hormones are kind of coming in and stuff and all of that around that time.
Yeah.
But I did think to myself, oh my God, like I don't think I can be as good a mum as this baby needs because I don't feel like I'm equipped, and I'm never going to be as good of a mum as my mum has been to me. And so I definitely had a lot of self doubt, because
Yeah.
I think it's overwhelming. I mean, there
It
is a
is.
lot, isn't there? There's a
It
lot that
is.
goes into becoming a mum.
Because it's not just that you've been handed this little person and, like you said, they need so much from you. It's that you're changing too. You're everything about you, your entire identity has shifted, and you don't know what that's going to be like until you go through it. Like, you can read all the books, you can see all the people in front of you. Oh yeah, my sister had a baby. Like, no, it's not the same. Like, your entire worldview is turned on its head, and it's like the things that you thought, were most important to you are no longer that. And I remember being like, I was going in to have Stella, and I was leaving, I was going on maternity leave. And I thought, oh yeah, of course, I'll just balance this all and like, it'll be fine. And I remember that first day going back to work, and there was a sense of relief because I got a little bit of space from her and I was able to like put on grown up clothes and all that stuff. But I felt like, oh my gosh, my whole body is aching to hold this baby. I did not expect that. I didn't expect that my work would take less value now than my child. I thought they would be kind of equal. Like, oh, I can be a working mother and, all of it can be exactly the same weight. It's like, no, you can do all of those things, but the value of certain things is different after motherhood. And I just think that you just don't know how you're going to be how you're going to be as a mother until you are a mother. And you have these little moments, like these little mommy milestones that go, oh, this is where it really hits for you. Like, it's funny because you're like, oh, wow. It's like when you're an adult and you're like, oh, wow, I am an adult. There is no more person to look up to. I'm the one. You have those moments in motherhood where you go, oh, me? I'm on?
I know. And
Oh,
it's always changing because obviously your season's changing with your kids. So like
totally.
my eldest is she wants to start learning to drive. And so I'm like, oh God, so I facilitate. Oh, I know. I'm trying to delay it for as long as possible,
Oh my God,
honestly.
no.
I know it's terrible, but she wants to start learning. And I'm like, oh my God. So I want her to be able to spread her wings, but in the same breath, I'm like, I don't know whether she's ready. This is going to be a lot. It's going to be expensive. Like, can we just delay it? I mean, really, do you actually, as much as sometimes it's like, my God, I feel like I live in my car driving the kids everywhere. It's like, why you don't need a car. You don't need to, I can drive you around.
Well, I
But
imagine that you probably see your 5-year-old behind a wheel when you look at her. Like, you're like seeing
yes,
this version of her that's like,
definitely.
surely my newborn infant can't drive. Like,
Exactly. And then the other thing is she's young for her age, so she's young for her school year group. So I just, a lot of her friends that have started to drive, they're older than her, and I think she's quite young in lots of
yeah.
ways for her age, and so I'm in no rush for her to drive at all. And so when she keeps mentioning it to me, I'm like, and then I'll just maybe change the subject.
You
But
gotta face it at some point, Claire. It's coming
so
for
this is
you.
the thing. So this is another milestone that's coming to me now. My eldest is wanting to start to drive, and she's just certainly in the States. In the UK, she wouldn't be old enough to drive. So I actually use that as an excuse. I'm like, well, you have to be 17 in England to learn to drive. She's like, yeah, but Mum, we don't live in England. I'm like, yes. Well, we can pretend we live in England.
You can always
Um,
do those like driver courses. That was a really good like
yes,
middleman, where that they
that's
have a
what we're going
break
to
on their
do.
side.
That's what we're going to do. We're taking, I said to her, there's no rush. Let's take it very, very slowly, like
Yeah.
snail pace, please. And so she's going to start learning, the online stuff and the theory, and before she starts having practical lessons. But yeah, so that's a milestone that I'm fast approaching. So my eldest starting to learn to drive. That's crazy.
Oh man. Yeah, but you have to let them spread their wings. You have
Yes,
to. It's so
and I think
hard.
it
I
is hard.
I
Yeah.
feel like I'm entering that stage right now with my oldest
Right.
because
Okay.
for a long time my oldest, she has autism, and so some of her stuff's delayed, and one of the big things is the social delay. And so for a really long time we've been doing like what's called parallel play, where she'll have a friend over and they both will play, but like they're playing separately but in the same room. Or
Okay.
they're
Yeah.
playing with the same thing but like different, they're not engaging with each other. And so she
Mhm.
was doing that for such a long time. And recently I'm letting her spread her wings and letting her go to like summer camps and things like that, or gymnastics or other places where mommy's on the sidelines and she's like in charge of her own agency of what she does that day with the children. And one of
Yeah.
the milestones I hit is like her making her first friends. on her own.
Oh,
Like, not ones that I've
oh,
facilitated or I put
yeah,
together because I like the mom. Like,
yeah,
she will see children and be like, "Do you want to play with me?" And
that's
those
so
children play with her.
mhm.
And that was a big milestone this week, actually. I had Stella
Oh,
went to art camp for a couple days, and I came to pick her up a little early, and she was playing Ring Around the Rosie with these other children.
that's
And
so
I
cute.
thought, wow, this is a big moment. Like, she was the one engaging, she was the one wanting to play. It wasn't like facilitated by me. And those are big moments, like where they make their first
Yeah.
friend or their first boyfriend or whatever, like their own social interactions.
So I guess from your point of view, from the mum's milestone side of this, it's you being relaxed enough maybe to let her do that.
Yeah, it's the first
And
thing I
yeah,
haven't been having my hands on. It's the first
okay.
glimpse of like motherhood when you take a back seat. Because
Yes.
up until now, I've had my little hands, my little grubby hands on every single thing she's ever done. And now I'm giving her freedom to start being her own self. And,
Mm,
what do you like? What do you want to do? How do you want to make friends? What music do you want to listen to? Like, she's starting to show me who she is. And I think for a lot of moms, like the first 4 years are taking care of these little people, making sure they don't like kill themselves. And then
yes. Yeah.
5 and onward, you're starting to see who they are. And I'm just now experiencing that now because of the social delay. I'm experiencing what you might find at 5. So,
Wow,
yeah.
yeah, but I'll tell you that does. I mean, like we've just said, the season of parenthood is shifting all the time, so the milestones for us are constantly evolving as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we think it's all about the kids, but actually, as parents, we have to shift alongside the kids. So we're also reaching milestones along the way.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Momversation Club.
And if you've enjoyed today's show, which we really hope you have, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review. Your support helps us to reach even more mums and build a stronger village.
Until next time, bye from us.
Bye.